What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing good. It's been a fun past weekend. This past weekend, watching some live soccer. We got to see LAFC versus New England Revolution. It was really good. It was really exciting. I should mention this is going to be pre-recorded for everybody that's either watching or listening. It's going to be pre-recorded. I got a busy schedule, packed schedule, but I still want to be able to put out the podcast, put out the content out there. JP is going to be joining us, but it looks like he's buffering here a little bit. So he's going to be joining us. He was with me at the game against New England Revolution. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to talk with people. It was a lot of fun to catch up with everybody, and see everybody back in the Bank of California Stadium. It was really cool to see like live soccer again because it'd been so long, at least for me, just being there and just seeing that. And it was cool just to see, like, obviously the season ticket holders were the ones that got to go to the Bank of California. Got to talk with a lot of people. Ran into a couple people like the Voices Back in Gold, a couple different fans, and it was really cool to actually be back in the atmosphere, be there, talk with people, just catch up with everybody and watch everything that we do is watch live soccer. So we'll wait for JP to jump on back with us. But yeah, one thing that it stood out to me being back at the bank was it doesn't matter how long or how short an off season may be, it still feels special to be back there. It still feels special, to talk with fans, talk with people, and looks like we got JP back. Um, JP, I was just telling everybody like how good it felt to be back and talking with everybody. I know it like it was a short off season, but at the same time with all the news and everything breaking from the MLS, it kind of felt like, man, I can't wait to start watching live soccer again. But how did you feel being back at the bank?
Yeah, it was great to be back. It was a very exciting MLS offseason, regardless if news started picking up for LAFC in January. But yeah, it was quick, it was short, and it was great to be back. It was a great turnout from all the season ticket holders at LAFC. The 3252 wasn't full, but you could still feel its impact. Um, and then all the fans that showed up were great. Really fresh of breath air. Really makes you extra motivated for this 2022 season. Um, just not just for LAFC, but for the full MLS.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because when you start seeing, right, even the New England Revolution, it was cool. They're new faces that they also had, but it was really cool to see. Obviously, both teams didn't have everybody that they expected to have because we're also on international break. So that's one thing. But also, I wanted to let me see if I can pull up some of these photos from the game. Um, but yeah, as we'll see there. It was good to see. Obviously we did see Carlos Vela. We did see. Oh, let's see. We did see like there's you can see Carlos Vela, Brian Rodriguez, Chicho. It was good to see those at 32-52 rocking it. Um, Mahala, how good was it to see Mahala? Even though I think when he came the second half, he was
Yeah,
definitely trying to score a goal. It was good to see him. Obviously, thanking the fans. B-Rod once again. As you can see, even though it was in a packed house, I didn't expect it to be a packed house. It was preseason game, and not every season ticket holder was going to be able to make it. But just being at the atmosphere and everything, how did you feel like just seeing like Chicho back, Vela back? We've been seeing Vela. He's been excited, right? He's been smiling in all the preseason photos. How good did to see him? Even though it was one half, how good did to see Vela back?
yeah, it was great to see Vela. After not being able to really play at all last season, you finally got to see B-Rod, Chicho, and Vela front three. Even though it was only 45 minutes, but they seemed to understand each other to a certain degree, opening spaces for each other, switching off roles, switching, the wings. But Vela looked good. Vela's been happy in the pictures at practice. He looked good this game. Pinching in, cutting into the midfield, trying to connect. Making small little passes, but making the game fluid. And yeah, I mean, it was good to see everybody. Not just Vela, but obviously all eyes are on him to see what he can do and what happens with him. Later on in the season.
Yeah, and another thing to me, it was like there was a lot of different faces, right? Obviously, it was a John McCarthy who started at goalkeeper. But one thing that I was really interested, right? This is essentially Steve Shrundle's first go at it, right? This
Mhm,
is going to be like, hey, I know you and I were very curious about what kind of formation he was going to play. I wasn't necessarily worried about who started or whatever because it's preseason game, right? It's
mhm.
preseason.
Yeah.
But I guess I was a little surprised that they did go with the 4-3-3, this very similar 4-3-3 formation that Bob Bradley had, because it didn't necessarily, I don't know, like I know it's a preseason game, but it didn't seem like there was much the offensive wise, it wasn't that different. There were some changes in the midfield, obviously with Atuesta being gone and stuff, obviously not having every player. But what do you think of the formation, which to us appeared a 4-3-3?
Yeah, it was a 4-3-3. It felt at times Bob-esque, especially, when attacking. But Steve said it in his press conference. What he was looking for was the defense, its positioning, and they were going to start with that and then move forward into the attack. The midfield was new. You had Moon there, who you didn't expect. You had Crisostomo and Janela, who weren't starters day in and day out last season. And they did well. They controlled the game against the New England Revolution, who won the Supporter Shield last season. And obviously, it's preseason, but they had Carlos Hill, they had Buxa, they had Bo, so they had they also had their team. So that was good. But I think Ibiago was the leader, and McCarthy were the leaders in the back line. Ibiago was telling Murillo, McCarthy was yelling at the back line why they needed to position themselves. So I think that was good to see, especially Ibiaga, who came in the middle of last season. Who was supposed to be, expected to be a role player. Being the leader of this game was very eye opening. But Escobar was I think the best player of the game. Going up and down the right flank. His first game with LAFC, but what he did in 45 minutes was very promising.
Yeah, I think to me that's what there was a lot of positives, even though they played the first half. I didn't expect them to play like 90 minutes first game back and everything like that. But I would also say I did like Escobar. I did like Moon, where he was playing there in the midfield. Because I think that's where he's gonna get more of his opportunities this season. We know how good he is offensively and what he could provide on the offensive end. And we know last season he did struggle at times on the defensive end, but I think he is gonna succeed, and I do see him being there. I know even after the game, Steve Hahn, he asked us, what we thought about, Kim playing in the midfield. I actually like it. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for him to succeed with the team. And one thing that we saw is we know how Moon and Carlos Vela have that that relationship, because every time Moon got the ball, he would always like either look for where Carlos Vela was at or knew that, hey, the ball needs to go to Carlos Vela in the middle in order to switch it to the other point. They have that connection that you still see from last season, and you can tell Vela really enjoys playing with Moon, which is always a positive thing to see, right? You obviously you want players that Vela like wants to play with and do that. And I think towards the end of the last season, Moon and Vela weren't playing as much, and um I don't think the game was fun for either of them. Obviously, it doesn't help when you're losing and all these different things that they went through last year. But I think I kind of saw a little bit of that spark when they had that connection when they were doing pretty solid. What did you think of Moon and the Vela connection?
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected to see him in the midfield. I see him as a wing player. I just think that's where he, would shine the most. How explosive he is, how good he is on the one-on-one. But he did great. He recovered balls. He kept the game fluid. He opened up spaces. But like you said, he found Vela. There was one where he got it and quick switch to Vela across the whole field, right to his feet. And Vela always looks for him. Vela set him up for a shot. Moon just couldn't put in the back of the net. But they have that connection. So it was great to see him there. Even Steve said it. I want to. He even called. Shouted Moon out for the first game in the midfield and doing so well. Because you can put him there and he could have done pretty bad, and that would have been expected because he's never played there. But he did good. And that's another position where the team might need depth, and that's another player who you can now plug in because you saw positive results.
Yeah, no, I definitely did like where Moon was playing, and let me pull this up because my man Moon got a haircut. He got a haircut. Like if you can see, let me see. He's right there, right next to
He
Chicho on Chicho's left hand side.
he
He
had
got a haircut.
military duty. He had military duty, so they shaved it off in
Oh,
the
was
off
it the
season.
military duty?
Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, like how Human Sung did it last summer.
Ah,
He
gotcha.
did 3 weeks mandatory military training, and they shave your head off there, so that's why it's short.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Thanks
Yeah,
for educating us on that.
yeah,
I forgot that they do that. And then obviously right behind Moon is Escobar as well. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it might have been the haircut or whatever it was, but Moon looks solid.
yeah.
Um, let's talk about Escobar because I know you had mentioned him. I thought he played really good at right
Mhm.
back, and that's the position. Obviously that Moon also plays, but I don't think I see Moon playing with Escobar being there on the right back, and I think what I see, right? I see Escobar was able to push a lot. I see that he understands his position and his role, and he also has a good pace to come back and defend, right? So I think that's why I feel more on Moon on the midfield. As I think we lose here, JP one more time. But yeah, what I saw from Escobar is everything that you wanted from a right back. I think it's 45 minutes. That's all I got to see from Escobar. But I think he's pretty much locked down that position like everything you need from a winger, everything you need from a right back, he did it. He was able to push up at times. He was able to come sprint back, and he has everything that you want a right back that you need from a right back. And also the player standing right next to him, if you guys can see those people that are watching this, is John McCarthy. He started. I was a little bit surprised that he started over Tomas Romero, because Tomas Romero now is appears. I think he may be the third option. But as we bring JP back, I was just mentioning about some of the things that I liked about Escobar. What are some things that you liked about Escobar?
Yeah, like you said, he has good pace. He can defend and attack, so he's good on both ends of the field. But one thing that he was also, leading the back line. He has an attitude to him. He has leadership, so he knows exactly where to be, what to expect from his center backs. And I think he's going to be fine. When Murillo got the red card, he filled in at center back, and Moon went out to right back. He said it himself. He's like, my first position is center back, so he definitely knows how to defend. But he has the pace and the aggressiveness to go up. So which is maybe why they shifted him to right back in his career. But yeah, I mean, I thought he was the best one from the first half. And I think just because Steve rolled out with a 4-3-3 this game doesn't mean it's going to always be a 4-3-3. And maybe Moon can go to right wing back and Franco can be a right center back. That's something I can definitely see, maybe next preseason game or somewhere throughout the season. But it's very exciting, and that's a very good signing if he can stay healthy for the black and gold.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of good things there. I definitely do see the formation obviously being a little bit more versatile just because of what we saw from what we already talked about Moon and seeing Escobar, right? We can see all the different old clips when he played for Atlanta United, and I think when he was playing in Argentina last
Yeah,
season.
Newell's.
So it's like we can all see that, but once you actually see it in person, once I like to call it the eye test. I'm like, okay, at 45 minutes, he has that position locked down. I see his versatility, and you can move him around there. Another player that stood out to me, I was just mentioning before you got back on, was John McCarthy. He had a couple, I want to say maybe like two or three. I
Yeah.
think it was two impressive saves. And it looks to me, look, it's just early, but it looks to me like he may be the backup. And it looked like John McCarthy was playing with the starters, obviously, and then Tomas Romero. I think he also did had one save, but John McCarthy, he looked really good. He had two impressive saves that I was like, oh, okay, wow, he has some length to him, and he has some great versatility when it comes to defending the goalkeeper position.
Yeah, the goalie position once, so weak for LAFC, never really having a starter, now has three starting caliber goalkeepers, with Maxine, McCarthy, and Romero. McCarthy came from starting with Inter last season, so it's not like he was a backup last season. He's coming off playing last season. So yeah, he was also directing traffic back there with Ibiaga, telling them where to be. So it's not like he was just staying quiet. He also, passed my eye test. I saw the presence, because he's the first voice of the team's backbone. He had two good saves. One where he went out and cut off, I think Buxa's angle, and then got the save. Obviously, he got scored on, which you don't want, but it wasn't on him, which we'll get to later. But yeah, it was definitely another good first 45 minutes for McCarthy. That second spot, that backup spot when Maxime goes to Canada, is going to be very, very hard to fight for between him and Romero.
Yeah, and I think that's what LAFC has lacked. Like you want the number one, right? Which is going to be Max. But the number two spot, you're going to have someone that can whether it's Tomas Romero or John McCarthy or be able to step up. I think it's very important to have that type of competition because last season there wasn't really any type of competition because we didn't know what to expect, and I think to me that's what I think kind of got tricky because like you didn't know who was the starter, who wasn't the starter. Um, One thing I think we should also mention: Latif Blessing did not play. Ili Sanchez did not play. Um,
Tajuri did not play.
yeah, Dejuri did not play. So,
Acosta, Sifu, and Chiki.
well, those because
Oh
they
yeah,
were
those are
the
international breaks.
national
But
call-ups.
Ilie and Latif had procedures done. That's what Cherundolo said in the press conference. Sanchez, I'm not sure if he mentioned him or he just didn't play. So that's another one. But yeah, a lot of potential starters did not play.
Yeah, and I think and that's expected. Look, it's the preseason, so that was expected. But yeah, I expect definitely to see uh, Latif Blessing, sorry, to come back hopefully soon. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious because Latif Blessing. I also want to see how he will be able to operate with this offense, also be able to play with this defense, and they got so much talent now in that midfield, and see who's going to be able to step up and do that. What are some things that you like about the midfield?
Guinella played well. Crisostomo played well. It didn't look slow. It didn't look lost in those 45 minutes. And those were, the bench players last season, more or less, for the majority. Um, and, we haven't really seen Kellen Acosta. We haven't seen Sifu, and we haven't seen Ilie Sanchez, what they could do possibly together. So that's another, combination that we don't know what they can produce. Um, we can imagine what they can produce. I'm pretty sure they can probably press, be quick and explosive. In transition play, but we haven't seen it. On paper, that's a pretty strong midfield, but they haven't been together. That's after international break, that's Steve's I think number one job, other than defensive shape. It's getting that midfield together and getting their chemistry up because Sifu, Blessing, Guinella, Chris all know each other, but Acosta and Ilya are two big signings this transfer window that need to get acclimated with each other.
Yeah, talking about the defensive shape. We got to talk about Murillo, man. LAFC for the first half, for most of the first half, I would say they were dominating. They
Hmm.
were, it wasn't that big, but
Yeah.
they had rhythm of the game. Let's put it that
Hmm.
way. The rhythm of the game was favoring them. You're like, okay, you could potentially smell a goal or something. They're
Hmm.
good opportunities. They were getting more corner kicks and everything like that. Then comes a breakaway ball or switch. I don't remember exactly what happened. So the ball ends up getting switched, and I think Mario's like one on one against a Revs player, and the ball happens to bounce, and we're in the press box, so this is happening literally on the other side, and the ball bounces. Mario's caught out of position. I think his feet aren't properly set right. And I think what we saw, we didn't know the ball just stopped, and it looked like it was like an invert handball. But then when the ref came out and gave an automatic red to Murillo, he did it on purpose. So I got like a little clip that I was able to pull up. I was able to pull up here. They're fine. But yeah, it is definitely not the look, and I want to be able to share this with people so people can actually like see it. Let me see, so they can see it. And this is probably the best angle, and this is from the Revs. I don't know how I got the. but LAFC Central posted this. I don't know if you guys can see it. So it's playing right there. So he sticks his hand out. I don't know if you guys can see. Murillo purposely sticks his hand out here. I'll play it slow.
Or
Paused
just
it right there.
restart it. Or, yeah.
There you go. So, and I'm like, when I see this and the ref is right there, it's just automatic. And it's like, dude, and I'm like, and I really, when it, and you see Janela, I was like, what? Like, you can't believe it. But look, man, the reason why I bring this up is because this is Murillo. He did these kind of knucklehead type of plays last year. Um, and I don't know, like if you're Steve Sherundle and you're seeing this, yes, it's a preseason game. Yes, is but you should a veteran player should not be doing this at this stage of his career. He should not be doing these type of knucklehead plays. He should not be getting a red card, mind you. It's preseason. I didn't know this rule, but even though he got a red card, um, he was LAFC was able to sub in and play 11 versus 11, though the sub did take a little bit of while. But because it's preseason, you can play 11 versus 11, and I thought it was I didn't know that. Like the announcer said, like, hey, you
Yeah.
can sub, which is good because it's just an exhibition game. It doesn't matter. But if this was a real game, which it had like the real game vibe after like 20 minutes, you're like Mario just to do that. I'm just like, dude, there's no way if Steve doesn't see this that Mario's not the guy, and this doesn't tell you in preseason, I don't know what else will because you have a history of things that you saw last season, and for him to do this early, I just think is a bad sign for Mario. How do you see it, JP?
Yeah, I mean, in 45 minutes, everyone played well. Everyone was okay, was solid. You saw good moments, and then there was Murillo. Like you said, the team was dominating for those 25 minutes. The Revs had one or two, you know, chances, if anything. And then Murillo does this, and that's something you expect from Mamadou Fall or Tony Leone, who are inexperienced, young, homegrown players. But Jesus Murillo played the CONCACAF Champions League. He's played the whole season last season. He was even captain of the team last season. You can't do these things, regardless if it's preseason or not. You know not to. You just let it go and then try to chase him down and see if you could slide tackle or, you know, force him out, force him wide, do something. But, it just disrupted the game, got a red card. It ended up being, like a power play for the Revs, for 10 minutes until Mamadou came. But it's just a warning sign that Murillo is not, starting caliber, and Ibiaga might be, the only sure starter, at center back until Segura comes back. Um, and then Fall caused the goal later, but that's just because he didn't enter the game fully warmed up, fully ready. But in the second half he redeemed himself. But Steve needs to see that one, Maria was out of place. He got picked out easily with that through ball, and he just makes mental mistakes, which is what plagued LAFC last season. It was just mental lapses or individual mistakes that just led to goals. And you can't start the preseason off with another mental mistake and individual blunder.
Yeah, you definitely can. I think to me that just is just a bad sign, and I just don't know how Murillo continues. Look, to me, it's like I've seen enough of Murillo to know, like, look, he's not a starter caliber player. I know he made the MLS All Star things, and I don't know how he did, and I'm not, I know I'm like raining on this parade, but look, man, it's not quality stuff, and we've talked about it, and it continues to happen. And I think the thing that's tricky also about LAFC, you got Ibiaga, which I think would be the starter. Fall, he did have the mistake that led to the goal, but I think with that is, like you said, he came into the game right. He was in rhythm, and he's still learning the position.
Mhm.
I think I can kind of live. I can live with that. But a veteran player that's doing things that Maria's doing is something I couldn't live with because it's like, yo, like at what point do you realize that you shouldn't be doing these things, right? and Fall, even though he gave a bad pass and it led to the goal, um, there's still somewhat of a learning curve there, right? He's still showing signs that he's promising, that he can eventually be the guy, right? But it's just a learning curve. But I think the learning curve for Mario, that that
It
is long
passed.
gone, man.
That ship sailed.
That shit, yeah, that shit sailed a while ago. And it just doesn't look good for Rio. Like I don't know why he decided to do that. And I'm now seeing that clip in slow motion and everything. I understood why the ref gave him a red card. Because look, the refs are also in preseason,
Hmm.
right? They got to make sure they get the calls right. And then like, look, if I didn't see the angle that I just showed, and like I know some people, I think we were talking, I forgot who we were talking, but they're like, yeah, it was an automatic red, like
Yeah.
without a question. I think you were talking about it. Uh
Salsa.
Celso, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He had mentioned that it was an automatic red. And I was like, refs don't just give out reds
Hmm.
like that. Like just even in a preseason game, even though
Hmm.
I know it was a preseason game, but like, they also got a job to do. Just because it's
Yeah.
preseason, they got to make sure that they get these calls right. So yeah, to me, Mario, man, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I just don't know if he continues to do things like this. Like, I know you're thin, but that's what I'm saying. I think they need another center back until Eddie Segura is able to come back.
Yeah. I mean, you can argue Escobar can fill in. You can argue Ilya can fill in, because Segura's back, better or sooner than they expected him to. So maybe Escobar and Ilya can fill in for a month or two, and they don't have to go out. This transfer window with 3 weeks left of preseason to get a center back. Maybe they can wait until the summer if things really don't better themselves for Murillo. Um, but yeah, I mean, center back is a position where you can still argue that it's still thin. I think now with Moon in the midfield, Chrysostom in the midfield, you can argue that the midfield is deeper. Um, but yeah, Murillo needs to clean it up quick because Steve is a defender, so Steve knows exactly what the positioning should be and how they should, how the mental mistakes can really cost a team a game. So Steve should really be hard on him for that one.
Yeah, and also got the should we show the fall error?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Fall, it's just inexperience, and he didn't enter the game. He entered the game cold, not warmed up. But he's coming from playing at Montverde and the USL at the Lights. So that play, he just tried to be, cheeky and take on the forward, which he could get away with in high school and the USL because he's just a step above them. But you can't take Bo 1-on-1. You can't take the New England Revolution's DP on like that. It's a simple pass back to the keeper, and the Ibiaga and Fall open up. It's just a little inexperience right there, which I think Steve can easily correct, especially because Steve knows him from the Lights. So on any other day, if he was at the Lights, Mamadou makes that play. Mamadou takes on that striker. But when you more or less play against an all-star like Bo, that's not something you do.
Yeah, and I think also too, also like when you also play a quality opponent
Yeah,
like the Revs, like you can't make any mistakes, and I think he's definitely going to learn from that. Like I said, I'm not concerned about Fall. I think he has a lot of room to make up, and we should also mention he made the penalty as well.
yeah,
He made up for it. He scored the penalty for it as well. So yeah, I think Fall just needs a little bit more experience, but I'm
yeah,
not concerned by him by
yeah,
by one bit. Definitely more concerned on Murillo. But let's talk about other people that stood out. I know in the second half, the one that stepped up, number 40. We didn't know his name because we didn't have the roster, but was it Alex Villanueva?
yeah.
He
Alex Villanueva.
he really stood out. He was just dazzling through the
Yeah,
through the midfield. He was just speedy. I was like, "Who is this kid, man? He's going up and down." Obviously, Mahala definitely stood out. We should
yeah,
also note Danny Musovsky did get injured, so
yeah.
ended up bringing in your boy from CSU or CSUN.
CSUN, yeah, CSUN,
CSUN,
CSUN.
CSUN, Danny
Yeah,
Trejo. He looked good. He was very
yeah.
versatile, very quick on his feet and able to take on defenders. But what did you see? What did you like in the second half with the second team?
Yeah, Villanueva, like everybody said, I think his hair stood out first, and then his play, followed up. He was just explosive, and he was also strong. He's 19 years old, comes from Tacoma, the Defiance or defense, up in Seattle. So he has some professional experience, and he looked good. He looked strong. He looked fast. And he looked dangerous. Obviously Moose got injured, brought Trejo in. He looked good. He knew exactly what Steve, wanted him to do because they played with each other at the Lights, or he was coached by him at the Lights last season. So Trejo knew what he needed to do. Opoku looked hungry. He wanted that goal. He had a lot of energy. He was taking people on one. He was, I think, a bit too selfish because he just wanted that goal for himself. Maybe he could have, let gave a pass to Cal Jennings, who was always make runs, or Trejo, who was always in space sometimes. But it's good to see him back. After a whole year of not playing, I think you can excuse that selfishness a bit. But his energy and his hunger is there, and that's something I think the team needs, especially on the wings. If Vela, gets tired, or whoever, or B-Rod, goes on international duty, you have a good backup in Opoku. The other one was Almaguer. I think he did good in the midfield, especially because it was a young midfield with him, Torres, and another Lights player who I don't have his name on the top of my head, but he was also, playing well. They had a breakaway where he, gave a good pass. And even though they were young, they still controlled the Revs again in the second half. Thomas Romero was a captain, so that's something, to note too. But El Mesmari came in for Opoku, and then he got the penalty, and then Fall, wanted it, so that's another thing, that Fall's not afraid of the moment, and he's okay with the pressure. So
Mm.
that's also another good sign.
Yeah, no, I really did like that Fall wanted to take the penalty because I was like, who's going to take this penalty?
Yeah.
Obviously, Fall had the most experience there. But yeah, no, I think those definitely were the guys that stood out. I think we realistically, outside of Mahala, Opoku, it was good to see Christian Torres. He had a couple of
Yeah.
solid passes, but it's like when I look at the depth of this piece, I would put Mahala obviously above Christian Torres. Cal Jennings, I don't know if I really seen him playing much for their first team because of the depth. I just did.
Yeah.
Where would you put him unless Chicho or
He's
someone
third.
could?
He's third
Yeah,
at striker.
where would you exactly like? Where would you put him? I would put Chicho,
Moose, and then him.
Moose, yeah, Moose, and then him. But like the likelihood of that happening, I don't know. He may just be a Lights player, or not. We'll see how the things shape up. But there's a lot of depth up there. I don't think we've ever felt like LAFC maybe last year. Maybe we did feel like they didn't have no depth up top because of all
Yeah.
the injuries that they kept having. But I do want to play a video of this is actually a Chicho. LFC posted this on their Instagram, and it talks about Chicho wanting to win at all costs. He says, I want to be champion. That's the goal. And let's play the video.
Hacia atrás siempre es importante para recordar de lo que eres capaz de hacer, de lo que eres capaz de lograr. Pero ahora queda una temporada por delante donde las expectativas son más grandes, donde los sueños y pensamientos van más allá de lo logrado anteriormente. Quiero quedar campeón, es el anhelo, es para lo que trabajo y trabajaré fuertemente durante toda la temporada para aportar ese poquito de mí para poder llegar a ese objetivo. Tenemos un gran equipo, unos grandes compañeros que dentro del terreno se están preparando muy bien. Si siguen así, seguramente nos dará ese centavo para el peso para poder llegar al objetivo. But
I mean that I like that. The thing that sticks, I like. There's nothing he said wrong. That's what you want. To me, the tide is shifting. I don't know if you know what I mean by this.
No, yeah, I see it
It,
too.
it is this too early to say this, but it just seems like they posted Chicho saying this. They didn't post Vela. Look, I'm not trying to start anything or nothing like that, but it feels to me that this is now starting to feel like more Chicho's team. You know what I'm
I
saying?
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say
He's
Chicho's
saying
team,
the things.
but
He's
yeah,
saying that I know, but
yeah,
he's saying the things that you would expect your leader to say.
hmm
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I would expect that. Like, and look, Vela has said the same thing. There's nothing there. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But like, I would have expected Vela video to see, to post this and talk about them. Look, we may get a Vela video tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Um, and I don't think there's anything going on between them. He's like, we're all great teammates, but it's just starting to. I get the sense that like, what Chicho did last year, which was amazing. And if the tide were to turn to Chicho, I wouldn't be mad. I don't think anybody would be mad. It could be awkward. I don't know. But it seems like they have a solid relationship. But it seems like Chicho is committed to this team. Vela, we'll have to see what happens after 6 months because he could be on his way. But it definitely feels to me that the tide is shifting to more of Chicho. This could potentially be Chicho's team without being Chicho's team officially. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. He's definitely next one up. He's definitely the prince right now, and Vela's still the king. But after Vela leaves, that's his throne. That's they've been marketing him since last season. When he got here, he came as the guy who's going to save our season, and he basically kept us in the fight until the last week. So I have no issues with Chicho being the guy. I think it's good. It's just part of his personality. He has an infectious personality that everyone just gathers around. But yeah, I mean, and he scores goals, so it's not like it's just his attitude's right. His play's right. He backs it up on the field, and he is next one up to enter the prime of his career after Vela leaves. He's only 26, 27, so in a year or two, when Vela isn't here, he's the next guy up, and he's 28, prime of his career, ready to take MLS and LAFC by storm.
You already counting Vela out? You
I
already, you
mean,
already
he's not going to be a DP at 35. I mean, I wouldn't expect it. So
We'll have to see. I
he,
just have to see how these next couple months go because I think that's going to tell us off.
yeah,
But yeah, the tide is definitely shifting. And I don't think any fan would be mad at that because like everything you said, Chicho has a charisma. Chicho has showed up. He's done it, and he's done it unselfishly, and he's all about the team. At least that's what I understand, and you can't be mad at that. And I think everything he said, I was just surprised that it came from him and it was marketed through him because usually these are the questions that you're asking. But Vela might have been like, "Yo, I don't want to," we know he's not a big media guy or anything like
yeah,
that. We know, he no longer has his IG, doesn't have Instagram. Um, I don't know what played into that. Obviously, I was just assuming speculation, but I like that Chicho is stepping up and saying the things that any supporter of LAFC wants to hear right now,
yeah,
needs to hear that, right?
yeah,
Especially after what happened last season. And he's already put the team on his back, but now you give him and Vela more reinforcements and everything like that. It could be a very exciting season. So we'll have to see what happens once LFC gets all their players back.
all of them. So yeah, I mean, it was very, um, good to see them. Uh, it left me with good sensations, and the full team isn't even there yet. It's very optimistic. If you're an LAFC fan, to see what this team can create, and it
Yeah.
looks like
So
they have a new attitude too with under Steve. You know,
yeah, it seems like I said, he's definitely more players coaches. Not, I think they really got tired of hearing Bob Bradley. It's like a new voice in the locker room changes so many different
yeah,
things. It
yeah,
changes and just changes, and you can see it in most of the players that were there last year. It changes no matter what. And I think the biggest change that I've seen, and think everybody's Vela. His demeanor,
yeah,
his percent, everything has changed. Now, granted, not saying that he may have not had a great time with Bob, but I just seems like he's the one that just sparks a lot more than he did last year, and I think that stands out a lot.
yeah.
Anything else before we wrap up the LAFC preseason game versus the Revs?
It's only been one game, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. So we can only expect better things with everybody else because the level's going to get better at training. Steve should, you know, I feel like he already has a good grasp of the locker room, so the things should only be getting better from here. And we also have an open DP slot, so anything can happen.
Yeah, and yeah, open DP spot. So yeah, it's looking good. Okay, quickly before we close things out, we got to talk about World Cup qualifiers. Let's start off with the big one first. U.S. men's national team lose 2-0. Yeah, 2-0 to Canada. I kept seeing on my timeline 2-0 from
Yeah,
everybody that supports the Mexican national team. And you guys know what I'm referring to. But I know Canada is the best team, without a doubt. Look, they're better than Mexico, they're better than US. They've shown it. But I'm surprised by how the US men's national team struggled against Canada. There was not I know watching that game because I watched the whole game. It was like I don't know the creativity. I was surprised to see. I think was it Sardis starting. Pepe didn't
yeah,
get the start. Just certain and it's like we're talking about a U.S. men's national team that has talent, raw talent, and they play. These guys are all majority of the players are playing in Europe, and obviously you got players that are playing in the MLS too. But like Canada had nothing but US MLS starters, right?
yeah,
From their whole pretty much you look down their lineup is nothing but MLS starters, right? And
yeah,
and the team that had all the MLS starters was being the team that had players at Chelsea, at Juventus, and everything like that. That to me tells me it's like, what is Greg Berhalter doing? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And I know there people were making fun of like you need to stop showing his shoes and what shoes. Yeah, I think you should stop talking about his shoes and what he's rocking and everything because it's not looking good. What did you take out of this game?
I didn't see the first half. I just saw the second half, but in that second half, the U.S. just got bullied. You know, the U.S. did not really fight back. They did not have creativity. Canada is the best team in the region, and they didn't even have their two best players in Steven Eustáquio and Alfonso Davies.
Mhm.
So even with that, they just looked so much, more, just so much better in every single aspect. Defensively, offensively, everything. Greg Berhalter got outcoached by Chris Herdman. He knows what he has at his disposal, and Canada, every single player knows what their role is, and they, you know, perform it to the perfection. Day in and day out in World Cup qualifying. I tweeted it out after. I was like, they're my dark horse for the World Cup now. Maybe to maybe even make top 8 in Qatar because Alfonso Davies, Steven Eustáquio, and a team that knows what their roles are is very dangerous. So it's very exciting to see what Canada can do, and I'm happy for Canada. You see them play, and you like what you see.
Yeah,
Some people may say it's defensive or not, but I like it.
yeah.
You can't hate Canada. Canadians are nice. So if I see them in the World Cup, I'll be rooting for them because you want CONCACAF to grow and the region to get better. But it's also fun when they're playing well.
I like it for that, but I think I also like it that now it's like in CONCACAF, like the US and Mexico have to it's not just between them two anymore, right?
Yeah,
Before it used to be, at times Costa Rica, at times Honduras, at times Panama. But now like Canada, it seems like the type of country is here to stay
yeah.
for
It's
good.
not a golden
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah, yeah, no, no,
Uh,
no. They're gonna compete for the next, obviously this World Cup, the next World Cup, and the World Cup after that, and the World Cup after that. That's why I see it, and I like the tide is turning towards Canada because it makes the U.S. need to be better. It makes Mexico that needs to be way better. And I like it in a weird way. I like that Canada is the best team. Like I don't know. Like I don't think that's a bad thing to say or anything like that. But I just feel I like that they're the better team, and I like that's gonna push the U.S. to be better. They're gonna push Mexico to be better because that's what you want to see. I remember back in the day, like, oh, you're playing Canada, okay, it's an easy win, but
yeah,
they've worked so hard and to be able to develop the players, develop the country and everything like that. So hats off to Canada. I love what they did. I love what they're doing. I love that they, I hope they, if they take first place and obviously are the first team to qualify from CONCACAF, they deserve it. They be in Mexico, they be in and in US, and I don't think they've lost, right?
They're undefeated.
They're
They're
undefeated. They
undefeated.
haven't lost. They've tied it, obviously, but yeah, no, I like that. So we'll see what happens. I know a lot of people are upset with Greg Berhalter. I think even like uh a lot, even like Hercules Gomez was talking about it on Twitter. They posted a video that he's holding the U.S. men's national team back. So it's like it's just not looking good under Greg Berhalter because it's like you have all these weapons and
Mhm.
you're just not using them properly.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna be exposed in the World Cup because the
Oh
U.S.
yeah.
has too much talent to not make the World Cup, but Greg does not know how to play against teams outside of this region.
Mm-mm.
The players and the talent has been bailing him out for basically his whole tenure as coach. So when you play international opposition, Greg is, if he can't outcoach CONCACAF, he's not gonna outcoach Europe and South America. Um, and it might just end up being like that. They make the World Cup, but they're gonna, stunk it out in the group stage, and then that's when they're gonna have to fire Greg. And the federation is really gonna have to interview the top candidates for the job because the talent pool in the US is crazy. So they
It's
need the right
insane.
guy to really, make a great showing at the US's World Cup in 4 years.
Yeah.
Wherever
But
that
even
is.
then, they got a lot of talent this World Cup to make
Yeah.
a lot of noise. Look, let's talk about Mexico because Mexico is not far off. Tata Martino is not far off from being a Greg Berhalter. If we're gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Look, I was watching the Rams game because I was obviously supporting the Rams. The Rams going to Super Bowl, obviously great news. So the bar that I went to watch the game was also showing the Mexico versus Costa Rica game. I couldn't hear anything, but I watched it, and all I watched was just disappointment because the score ended up 0-0. Obviously, there was no fans in El Azteca, but I was literally disappointed from this performance. What did you think of this game? And I think there's rumblings now too that like if Tata Martino does not win this next game or have a positive showing that he may get let go. I don't know. I've been seeing that. I don't know how true that is, but look, the pressure is definitely on him for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it always happens with Mexico. I think Josue tweeted it out, and it's like Mexico always starts these processes off great with their new coach, and come 1 year before the World Cup date, they just start messing it up in qualifying, and then the pressure mounts, and the cycle's over, and they get a new coach, and they end up going to the World Cup in the worst form, and they just try to pull it out. Um, Tata does not make the substitutions or the choices he needs to. Chaka and Gallardo have no place starting, especially when you have a European player playing left back and balling out. It's not like Arteaga comes in as a sub. Arteaga starts in the Belgian league and has stats to back it up. Julian Araujo, maybe one of the best right backs in MLS. Obviously, he hasn't been in form, but still, he's. I'd give him a shot over Chaka, who's day in and day out has just been underperforming both for club and country. You have Funes Mori still there, Henry Martin still there. I still think Chicharito needs to get called up because if Raul Jimenez is injured, which he has been for so many qualifiers now, you need a guy with experience there, and Funes Mori and Martin aren't pulling it out. Lainez goes in against Jamaica, revolutionizes the game, nowhere to be found against Costa Rica. And you're at home. There's no excuse to not win at home against a weak, old Costa Rica team that just sat back and didn't even counterattack. And it's just underwhelming. And, Tata needs to win against Panama because Panama is only 1 point behind Mexico and the U.S., So all the pressure's on them on Wednesday. Part of me just does not want Mexico to qualify just so the federation can wake up because it's not just Tata, it's not just the players, it's the whole federation that's just been mismanaged, in my opinion, for years now. Because the cycle is repeating itself every single time World Cup qualifying happens with Mexico.
Yeah, and there's some young talent. There's other talent that is just like, to me, it's just so head scratching that like how I it has to be how stubborn Tata Martino is. You know, I feel like
Mhm.
there's clearly guys that are just better, like just better, and like if you're not gonna give the guys that you call up a shot, then why even call them?
Mhm.
Why even call them? Don't wait till the next World Cup qualifier set of games. Even though you're one third, they had a good. If they would have won,
They
they
would have
would have been
been
second.
second and a point behind Canada or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they would have been right behind Canada. But to get out 1 point against Costa Rica, who struggled, um, yeah, I don't know. I just thought the games and every game's been disappointing. Even in the one that they won against Jamaica, that
Yeah.
was disappointing because they were down 2 minutes. So it's just like I don't know how that locker room is or anything like that, but it's just like Tata Martino. It keeps getting more and more disappointing watching this team. And if they don't get a positive result and win, right, win convincingly against Panama. Look, Panama's not going to be easy. I
No.
think Mexico's home, right?
Yeah,
Um,
Mexico's home again, but
Mexico home, but yeah, it's not gonna be easy. So we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see who he calls up and stuff. But if we keep seeing more and more of the same thing, we may be saying the same thing about Mexico and the same thing about US
yeah.
the next time around. And I hope that's not the case.
Chaka got a yellow last game, so he can't play against Panama. So the only true right back is Julian Araujo. So maybe we might see him start, but knowing Tata, he might put anybody else with more caps over Julian. So nobody should be getting their hopes up. And whenever the lineup comes out, then we'll see. But all the stars are aligning for Julian to get a shot this game and start. Hopefully, we get to see that, but we never know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But look, we're gonna end in there. It was a good pod. We covered a lot of things. JP, any final words?
I'm excited to see this LAFC team in 2022, and hopefully Mexico can really shape up in this World Cup qualifying against Panama, just to win, and then try to revindicate themselves against the U.S. in Azteca because that's the first game in March. So you got two big games coming up for Mexico.
Yeah, big games. Also, another big game. The U.S. also face Honduras at home. That should be a gimme game as well. But yeah, guys, that those two games are gonna happen on Wednesday. So we'll have World Cup qualifiers to watch here in these next couple of days. But that's gonna wrap things up for JP. This is Gio.